Hello Java programmers, welcome back. For user input, we are continuing on with the idea of J option pane as our example. So we're going to head over and do one of those. I've taken out all of the middle bits of this code that we're doing user input of scanner so that I can copy and paste this over and do it for my J option example. I might have a previous program already typed in there, so we'll have to delete that if that's the case. But we're going to take this code. Oh, we're good to go. And we will paste it in here so that it lives inside of my J option example. Remember, as I've said many a times to you now, hopefully, we cannot let this class name ever say J option pane. Remember, we've talked about in class that will lead to a world of pain for you. The pain with an I in it. So do not make your class name J option pane only. It can say J option pane spelled the wrong way. It can say J option pane and have more words involved. But if it just says J option pane, we're going to have some headaches. So in a J option pane example, we have the same ideas going on. We're going to ask for three variables. We're going to ask for three number inputs, and we will save them into our variables A, B, and C. I've kept my variables sum, product, and average, and I kept the doing calculations as you all would have had if we had been doing this from the exercises. So I'm keeping all of those the same, and all we're going to do is add in some middle bits here to get the inputs from the user. Now, when we're doing a J option pane input, everything that comes in is going to be a string. We learned about that in class, but every time that we get an input from the user using J option pane, it is saved as a string value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some string variables to be able to ask those three questions, and those are going to be my placeholder variables. So I'll call them response 1, response 2, and response 3. And these are really just placeholders for the input. Placeholders for user input before we convert to integers. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we are going to, all in one line, do what Scanner used to do in 2 lines, and that is to save the value of the user input and also prompt the user with the question, all in one line. So for response number 1, we want to ask a J option, we're going to do a J option pane dot show input dialog command, and the question that we want to ask is tell me a number. I guess it's not really a question, it's more a command. And what that will do is it will ask the user to tell me a number. That message will show up. It will leave the text box for them to type in. Whatever they type in will be saved as a string into response number 1. Then we will come down and say, okay, we know that response number 1 is a string, but we don't want it to be. We actually want it to be saved as the integer value of A. So what we'll have to do is we have to do that idea of parsing that we talked about. And the command that we use here is integer.parseInt. Absolutely. And we are going to put in that string response there. And what I want you to think of that is hey computer, turn this idea, this response 1, which I know isn't yet 1, turn that idea into an integer and save it into the variable A. So we kind of read that backwards, or right to left in that case. Take response 1, whatever its value is, convert it into an integer and save that into variable A. Now, if the user doesn't type in a number, some things are going to go weird, and I will show you what that looks like, because if the user types in letters and you ask the computer, hey, turn those letters into an integer, the computer's not quite sure what to do, and so some errors will occur. But we're going to hope that our users are not sneaky people, and they are in fact just trying to be good, citizens and follow along with our programs. So we're going to do it just like this for now. Then we're going to do the same thing for response 2. Again, it will be a J option pane command, show input dialog. Give me another one. And again, we're going to have to parse it. This time we're going to parse it into our variable B. So this one will be response 2. And then finally, we're going to do that same thing again, but this time we're going to do it with response 3. third number, please. And we will save that one into our variable C, doing that same idea of parsing. We will do it for response 3. Okay, great. So now what we have, oops, put my semicolon at the end of that line. What we have is we have asked the user for an input, saved it as a string, converted that string into an integer, and saved it into our variable A. And we have done that process for all 3 of our letters for A, B, and C. So things should run smoothly. I have errors over here, so what I'm going to do is comment out these lines, so that way my programs will run. Oh goodness, everything is giving me errors now. Good. IntelliJ is a little bit silly that if you have errors in one of your classes and you try to run another, it will not let you. So I just want to comment those out so that they are ignored by the computer for now, because I don't care about my scanner example anymore. All right, so now let's run this and try. Quick note about IntelliJ stuff. If you notice right now, if I try to click this play button up at the top, it's going to run my scanner example, and we want to run my J option example. If you've already run this program before, it will show up in your drop-down list and you can choose it. If you haven't, you have to use the play buttons over here to the left. But I'm going to select it from my drop-down list, and now I can press play and it should run my J option example. You will see a window pop up that says, tell me a number. So this time I'm going to say 10. Give me another one, we will say 4. And a third one, 23. And then it prints out onto the console the sum, the product, and the average of those. One last thing, because we learned about it while we were doing our user input, if we wanted to, instead of having these messages print out on the console, we could have them print out on a message bubble, just like these J option show input bubbles show up. And the command and the way that we do that is we say J option pane show message dialog. The first component, or the first thing that we have to type in, is the word null. The word null, and then we're going to put our message in as the second part. So we'll put our message in there, and then we will do the same for our other 2 commands. So J option pane, show message dialog, null, not new, and then we have 2 more. And finally, J option pane, show message dialog, null, and our average. And now when I paste all of these in here, I'm going to comment out the ones that show up on the console so that we just have it showing up as the message bubble. But this time when I run my program, the response at the very, very end is going to appear differently. So we have 10, 3, oops, I did that backwards, but that's okay, and 24. So it says the sum of 10, 3, and 24 is 37. And when I press OK, a brand new message bubble will come up and tell me the product. And when I press OK, one more bubble will come up and tell me the average of them. And then I press OK to end all of them, and it will close. I also could have put all of these together, all of those messages together, into one message dialog, and then they would have showed up as one box altogether. The way that I would do that is with strategic use of \n to make things appear on the screen the way that we want them to as far as messages are concerned, but we could have done them all as one or as separate messages. But that is it for user input using the J option pane. One quick note, if you are doing things that are not always with integers, remember that we also have another command so that we can parse things for doubles, and I'm going to type it out but in comment. So that one is double dot parse double, and then the same kind of input inside those parentheses like that. But that is all. Happy programming of some user input.